In this video, I decided to put my survival game skills to the ultimate test inside SurrounDead. I wanted to see how long I could survive in Permadeath Mode. That's right, if I die at any point in this adventure, the entire map wipes and all of my progression is gone. The only rules I set for myself was that I had to beat as many POIs as possible and not just sit around waiting for time to pass. Now, with all that being said, let's get into my hardest challenge to date, Permadeath Mode. I started this adventure by creating the new character who I called Trent Leonard, a 30-year-old police officer with a chip on his shoulder. After creating my character, I loaded into day number 1. Day 1 started as it always does, spawning into a random section of the map and looting the nearby areas. I found a nearby gas station, almost got killed by a zombie, looted the station, almost got killed again, and then headed out of there as fast as possible. I took this time to loot as much as possible and search for some beginner supplies. I ended up finding some clothes, a kukri blade, and a shotgun. This was a huge find for day 1. I ended up finding my backpack in a nearby bridge crate, which is a huge find this early on in this adventure. As I was wandering around, I found a gun store nearby and quickly took care of the zombies nearby. I promptly looted the store and found a ton of weapons and ammo. This was already shaping up to be one of the best starts to an adventure I have had yet. I went to the roof of the gun store and found a high-tier loot crate which contained one of the best items you can find in the game, a portable turret. This turret was going to be my best friend on this adventure, but more on that later. I looted everything from the crate and headed to an apartment building to loot all of the goodies inside. I found a ton of useful gear and money. I almost got killed by a crawler zombie though while looting, and it scared the hell out of me. After looting the apartments, I headed east and straight into day number 2. I ended up at a farm overran with zombies and started clearing them out one by one. I found some pistols at the farm, which is a huge find for me as I needed a solid sidearm at this point in time. Also, I tested out my turret on some zombies while I looted the rest of the farm. I searched one of the abandoned bunkers I used for a base in one of my last playthroughs and was contemplating using it as my base location, but thought I should just do something new as this was a new adventure after all. So I headed out in search of a better option as a home base for this specific adventure. Nighttime fell and I still had no base location yet. I kept driving until I found Walshy, the car dealer, and bought some gas from him as I was running low. After that, I noticed this flat area near Walshy's and decided that it would make a pretty cool place to build a base at. As during this time, modular building was just introduced into the game and I wanted to test it out by crafting my own base from scratch. I cleared and looted the town as well and found some pretty good gear like an M4 assault rifle and some ammo. After loading my backpack up with a ton of gear and money, I headed to my new base location for the start of day number 3. On the eve of day 3, I started chopping down some trees and built the crafting and building bench. Inside the building bench is where you craft all of the modular building pieces, so I gathered up as much wood as possible and got to building the beginning parts of where I would call home for the rest of this adventure. On day 4, I finally finished the base construction and I was pretty proud of what I had made since it was my first ever modular structure in this game. I was finally in a cozy home where I could feel safer after going out looting. This was a huge milestone in my adventure. After I was done building, I decided to head out and once again looted the town nearby my base. I cleared out the zombies one by one and slowly advanced into the town using my silenced sniper I had acquired. I found some loot inside some quarantine tents and also looted the warehouse style building again for more supplies, but it looked like the supplies didn't respawn yet from the last time. I went ahead and cleared out the rest of the town and stocked up on any gear I could find, and that's when I heard it. An airdrop had just got dropped off nearby and I decided to check it out, and that's when I found a hidden stash near a boulder. This stash was loaded with gear. I took everything and ran straight to my car to get that airdrop. I searched high and low for it, but I lost sight of exactly where it landed. Nighttime was approaching and I was starting to lose hope, and that's when I saw it. The blue smoke, pillowing in the air near the beach. I finally reached the airdrop, and it was not good by any means. Only some MREs and water were inside of it. Pretty disappointing. That night, I headed back to base and just did some organizing around the base. On the morning of day 5, I unlocked the critical hitter skill, which doubles the chance of critical hits with both melee and ranged weapons. This was a huge perk to unlock for this adventure. I decided to head out once again to do some looting in the morning. I went to a radio tower location, cleared out the zombies with my turret, and proceeded to loot the entire POI. This is where I found my first respirator, which will allow me to tackle the harder content in the game, the contaminated zones. This critical item brought me one step closer to beating this challenge. I then proceeded to gather some stone as I need it for building in the future. I found an alpine backpack in some trash, which would allow me to have even more space to hold items. Once again, I farmed the town near my base to test out my turret and gather loot. I broke into both lockers and found a ton of good guns and items inside of one. This place has been an amazing POI for me to stock up on some gear and ammo, which was what much needed. I heard some running downstairs and almost lit myself on fire as zombies rushed at me. That was just another close call that just goes to show how fast things can change in this game if I wasn't on my best behavior. I once again looted that hidden cache and retrieved everything inside. I also found a massive generator which would be perfect for electricity in my base, so I made sure to grab that. I just spent the rest of the night looting the entire POI. This POI is unique though due to the hospital inside of it. This is a great place to find radiation filters and much needed medical supplies if I wanted to take on the contaminated zones fairly soon. I ended up leaving the POI and heading to base on the start of day 6 and did some more base building and organizing. And almost killed myself with a Molotov grenade inside the base. Something I must admit happens a little too often during this adventure. After organizing, I took all of the items I did not want and went to the crashed ship safe zone to sell it. I made a good amount of money from this and stocked up on some more ammo as I was going to do the contaminated zones next. I stayed at base and just did some organizing and building up the base some more. I wanted to create a balcony around my entire base for when I would eventually end up doing the Horde beacons for better loot. I cleared out the prison POI next to my base on the other side of the bridge to loot it. I didn't find anything truly noteworthy here, just some magazines to level up my skills and normal crafting supplies. Next, I unlocked the whistle perk as well to distract zombies if needed, which is a huge perk for this early on in the game. Clearing out the town and looting supplies inside was a breeze with my turret watching my back. Honestly, the turrets in this game are busted and you will see why later in this video. Now, day 7 started off looting with me fighting some bandits on the road near the Airfield POI. I took them down with ease and hunted down some wildlife for food in the nearby area. I headed to a nearby trader and that's when I saw a crazy cool utility truck next to the trader and decided this was going to be my new vehicle. I transferred everything I could into the new truck after selling items at Trader Bob's. I headed back to base to offload all of the loot I found while looting the entire previous night. I decided at this point I was ready for my first contaminated zone. I got geared up and headed to lockdown safe zone, first to buy some magazines to level up my character as much as I could before doing a contaminated POI. After that, it was straight to FOB Alpha. This is the easiest FOB in the game. You can literally stand with a suppressed sniper and snipe most things in the area. So as long as you don't trigger any of the zombie dogs, you'll be okay. So this is exactly what I did. I stood back and sniped to my heart's content. I had my turret down just in case there were any zombie dogs I didn't see while looting. This led into day 8 and I slowly made my way through the FOB, grabbing as much loot as possible. I found a ton of useful mid-game loot here, ammo, guns, and even attachments. I looted what I could, picked up my turret, and got the hell out of there. I headed to a town called Elwood where I used my turret to help me clear out the zombies in the area. This town has a ton of zombies and also a huge crashed ship where there are some loot crates. I looted the loot crates and found my first Alice pack. The Alice pack is one of the best backpacks in the game and has a ton of space in it. This was a huge find and I was glad I looted this area. I cleared the remaining zombies and loot from the town with the help of my trusted turret sidekick. I lured the zombies in while my turret took care of the rest. Then I looted the bodies for any valuables. I had to use this strategy as any bad encounter with a running zombie or horde of zombies could be my last and the adventure would be over. After looting a bit, I found an underground tunnel that led to an abandoned subway tunnel. Once again, I let my turret do its job while I cleaned up the stragglers. I slowly made my way down the subway, looting as much as I could find. making sure to be as careful as possible because this was a terrible place to be in case I run into too many zombies. After leaving the tunnel, I heard another airdrop flying overhead, so I went on the hunt for it. I scoured the map from mountaintops and saw it was in the distance just over the river. This airdrop was full of medical supplies, which I was not mad about. While looting, I came across a jukebox in a mailbox. Don't ask me how that fit in there, it just did. I headed to one of the most annoying traders in the game, Shake's Cone Shop. After having my ears bleed listening to that god-awful music while selling the items I found, I headed home for the night. While I was at home, I did some organizing and offloading the gear in my inventory. I also built my first gateway entrance leading to my base to keep any zombies out of it. The rest of the night consisted of me building up my base walls and fortifications. Day 9, I completed the walls around my base and got into a firefight with some bandits that were blocking the road. I quickly got rid of them and headed to the trader to sell some items. I bought some more credits from the black market trader as well. This is where I stumbled upon an abandoned mall and decided to check it out. Using my turret, I slowly lured the zombies who were inside to the outside and quickly disposed of them. I had another scare when a zombie tried to attack me while I was looting inside, but I barely survived. I looted the mall as fast as I could, and to be honest, for such a large POI, there really isn't too much good loot here. I got what I could, grabbed my turret, and headed to my next destination. I found this wandering trader all by himself fighting off some zombies, so I decided to help him out as I wanted to see what kind of gear he had on him. And boy was I glad I had stopped to help him out, because he had a coyote backpack, an enhanced military respirator, and a guardian on him. These would be amazing if I could buy them, especially this early on in the adventure. However, I didn't have enough credits on me, so I decided to head to a nearby trader and try to buy some more credits. The nearest trader didn't have any credits, so I was forced to go to the lockdown trader to get some more. I promptly headed back after acquiring some more credits, but the loot from the trader refreshed. This was a huge bummer, as getting that enhanced gas mask would have been an amazing item to have this early on. But I guess it wasn't meant to be. The morning of day 10 started off with me heading into the Patient Zero building. This was a new contaminated POI at this time that I haven't yet seen during this version of the game. I used my turret and molotovs to kill the zombies inside and promptly looted it. The gas mask I had would slowly leak radiation into my body, so I had to be quick. I found a few keycards and another Alice pack, making this a pretty good loot run. This allowed me to check off another POI on the list of things to do before I could call this adventure completed. I drove down the road and stumbled upon this damaged nuke in the middle of it. This was also a new update at this time that I had not yet seen, and was pretty cool to see the developer adding things like this to make the world feel more like a zombie apocalypse. There wasn't anything to loot there, unfortunately, so I moved on to the next POI. The next place I visited was a small town where I knew there were some locked cabinets I could loot for some possibly good gear. I used my turret to clear out the zombies and unlocked the locked house and started looting. I found some pretty good loot in this building and wanted to see what the lockers would offer me. And this is where I found my MP7. The MP7 is one of the best sidearms you can get in this version of the game, so this was yet another huge find for me. This spot proved to be a great spot to stop at. I drove a bit down the road where I saw a charger. This charger was going to be my next vehicle as it was the fastest vehicle in the game. I figured I would need speed, not storage, for a permadeath adventure like this one. I transferred all of my loot to the charger, repaired and gassed it up, and I was on my merry little way. This thing was way faster than the truck and took some getting used to driving. Driving around the map felt so much faster and I felt like I could dodge everything that was trying to kill me. I unfortunately got a little carried away and some random bandits ended up ambushing me and disabling my car. I exacted my revenge on them and promptly for this looted their dead corpses. After that, I stopped to Walsh's to check and grab some gas and find out the cost of their vehicles in the game. I then headed to the crashed ship safe zone and bought some more credits. That night, I ended up getting my car stuck and then got really scared of some random noise in the dark forest. I also stumbled upon a wandering trader and checked the loot he had, but he didn't have anything of use for me at this stage in this adventure. And I just decided to head home and do some organizing for the rest of the night. Day 11 started off with me organizing and crafting in my base. I decided to put the finishing touches on my Horde beacon balcony. My balcony was looking perfect for when I would be doing the Horde beacons later on in this adventure, so I decided to head out for the night. I found another supply drop while exploring, and while looting that supply drop, I noticed a wandering trader nearby. I quickly headed to the trader, and to my surprise, he had an enhanced military respirator on him. This was a huge find, and I needed to have it. This respirator was the only thing keeping me back from doing the harder POIs in the game. So after acquiring the mask, I then headed out and ran into a group of scavengers on the road that made me jump off a hill straight into a contaminated POI. But not to worry, I was able to get out of there with no damage done. After nearly escaping that, I ran into more bandits on the start of day 12 and then headed into Checkpoint Alpha again to see what loot I could find. With the respirator and turret, this made it very easy to take out the zombies in the area. This loot run was very valuable and I found a ton of useful gear like the Desert Eagle and the XM2010 sniper rifle. I did a quick stop to the trader to sell some of the items I found and then headed back to base to depot the weapons. I felt confident enough to start taking on some of the harder POIs, so I got as geared up as I could and went straight into an abandoned bunker to see what kind of treasures I can find inside. This would be my first keycard POI on this adventure, and I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit worried. I knew this bunker had a boss zombie inside of it, and any wrong move could end this adventure. So, I strategically took out the guard dogs, watching the bunker's entrance, and set up a turret outside and hope it would protect me from the boss zombie. My plan was to lure it out and let the turret take care of it. Using Molotovs, I slowly worked my way inside the bunker. After noticing the boss zombie on the other side of the door, I used my Molotovs and Desert Eagles to quickly dispatch of it. I know this seems like a cheese, but I wasn't risking anything this early on in this adventure. I cleared the rest of the bunker and looted what I could inside. I found plenty of useful gear, but nothing too crazy or game-changing. After cleaning out the bunker, I decided to head to a safe zone and sell my loot when I ran into an annoying old friend, Shake's Cone Shop. I decided to sell it to him instead. I spent the rest of the night organizing and prepping back at base. This day started out with a surprise. See, the game had updated since the last time I played, and now there was what appeared to be a gas station right next to my base. I looted the new buildings and set out to see another new POI nearby, the resort. This is a massive resort-like complex with a ton of zombies, so I slowly used my turrets and my silenced weapons to carefully take them out. I seem to have a weird bug where my turret wasn't shooting the zombies but not doing any damage, so the best I could do was use it as a distraction tool. I used my turret to take out the zombies near the tents to the side of the resort and looted the containers there. Heading back inside, I placed my turrets inside to shoot the zombies in the back of the resort. I slowly made my way around the tents in the back of the resort and cleared out any zombies in my path. This place was massive and filled with a ton of zombies, so I had to be careful. As the sun set, I saw just how many zombies there were on the beach and decided I would check out this locked room and head out after. I didn't want to push my luck after all, but I still wanted to see what was upstairs, so I headed upstairs and looted and explored. This led into day 14. I didn't want to push my luck anymore, so I decided to head out of there and go back to base. I took this morning to explore some more of the new map and stumbled upon an APC called the Military Trader, and to be honest, I still don't know what this thing is, but it sure did look cool. I went and explored the docks, and to my surprise, there were actually zombies there with this update. I've been waiting for a very long time for this, so I knew I had to check it out. With a non-glitch turret in hand, I started killing everything in sight. I spent all day making my way through the port, and to be honest, I was finding minimal loot. For as big as this place is, there really is not a ton of loot and definitely did not seem worth it to me, but was still cool to check out after all this time waiting. After that giant waste of time though, I ventured out to the ports and found myself at a contaminated POI swarming with radiated zombies. I decided I was geared enough to take this on when I was rushed by an acidic infected zombie and nearly got killed. This encounter showed me that at any point I could lose this challenge, and all it takes is one mistake. I wasn't going to let this deter me though, so I headed into the POI, and that's when I found out it was called Gladewater Military Camp. This was another new POI with the update, and my interest was piqued even more. I took out as many zombies as I could from a distance with the help of my turret, and slowly made my way into the main area. That's when I noticed a zombie boss, and I was not feeling confident enough to take on one of those yet, so I hightailed it out of there. One close call was enough for me. The morning of day 15, I found a crashed helicopter near a broken bridge that was full of good loot. so I scavenged what I could and headed to another crashed helicopter in the middle of the woods. I dispatched the zombies near it with ease and got to looting. I found a ton of duplicate loot I could use to sell to traders. After that, I headed back to the base to offload the loot I had found. On my way to the trader, I checked the secret stash and found myself a new shotgun to replace the one I was currently using. I made it to the trader and sold some items. That night I noticed the wandering trader at the traders and checked his inventory. And I'm glad I did because he had a coyote backpack in it, which was a massive upgrade from the one I was using. I bought it using some credits from the black market trader I had acquired, and that night was the night I decided to head to FOB Bravo. This FOB was a big step up from the alpha version and would really put my survival skills to the test. On the morning of day 16, I slowly made my way into the FOB and strategically placed my turret in the street to help me clear out the zombies outside. Using Molotovs from a distance, I was able to clear out a ton of the zombies by using the sound of the Molotov hitting the ground to distract them. I carefully made my way inside further, looting along the way. I knew there was a boss zombie here, so I tried to lure the boss zombie using grenades and Molotovs to come closer to the turret. I had to be very careful here. If that boss got a hold of me, it would certainly mean the end to this adventure. So I carefully used high ground and the turret to try and weaken the boss, but it kept getting stuck on the turret. So I thought I would use a Molotov on it while it was stuck, but that turned out to be a massive mistake. The boss ran after me, but I was faster. I was able to get far enough away that it stopped aggroing me. After a clip full of headshots, it went down. That was another close call. I parked my car even closer just so I could make a quick escape if needed, and then proceeded to loot the FOB. This is where I found the 870 tactical shotgun, and this shotty packed a big punch and would be very useful in this adventure. Now it was time for the main bunker. I opened the door and slowly made my way down. I found some good loot down here, but I needed to be careful. I knew there were other boss zombies just in the other room, so I had to be strategic with how I proceeded. The plan was to aggro the zombies to the door, open it up, and then have the turret block them from coming out so I could shoot them. It seemed like the zombies weren't following me though. I noticed they were stuck on the door, so I sat on the stairs and shot the legs of the zombies instead. This worked perfectly, and I was able to clear out the other boss and the zombies with ease. I brought the turret inside to cover my escape and proceeded down the bunker, aggroing any other zombies left behind. I cleared them out and made my way down the bunker to loot everything in sight. Night was upon us, so I headed out to the FOB Bravo, feeling stacked with loot and happy I survived another day. I headed to the trader's outpost and visited the wandering trader to find out he had a Barrett 50 cal for sale. It was 45 credits, so I bought as many credits as I could, but I still didn't have enough, so unfortunately I couldn't get one of the best snipers in the game. But I was optimistic I could find it, looting, so I headed to my next contaminated POI, Creek Prison. I parked by the broken fence as you can cheese all the zombies and zombie dogs here as they can't reach you because they get stuck on it. So I started taking out all the zombies and zombie dogs as quickly as possible. I decided I would go in through the side entrance. I set up my turret outside of it and lured the zombies who were inside out the door towards the turret. After clearing out most of them, I headed inside and started looting. I made sure to load up as much stuff as I could so I could sell them at the traders. Money was more important than loot at this point in this adventure. I looted the second floor of the building as well and noticed there weren't any zombies. I found a ton of high tier loot crates and a lot of good items inside them. I found a secret intelligence laptop, which is a guaranteed legendary weapon once found. I then proceeded to the roof and looted that as well. The helicopter had an XM250 in it, and it was a big find to have. With my backpacks full, I headed out of there and straight to the classified container. I paused in the middle of the street to check out the map and was ambushed by bandits. They disabled my car and shot at me like crazy, so I had to get my revenge. I heard some crazy noises going on over the hill, so I went there to investigate to see what happened, and there was a bandit fighting a bear. I then got ambushed once again by a bandit rusher who could have killed me, but I took care of him quickly and got the hell out of that crazy corner of the map. The container was somewhere in Grain Valley, so I set up my turrets in the middle of the street and started clearing out the zombies. After looting the grocery store, I got jumped by a running zombie and almost died. I moved my turrets further into the city center and looked around for the classified container as my turrets killed the zombies. This is where I noticed something weird about my turrets. My turret must have glitched because every time I put a turret down, I could just place another one. It was like I had infinite turrets, and I'm pretty sure this was a glitch. I finally ended up making it to the container and it gifted me with a Lychee, one of the best legendary snipers in the game. This was a great gun to have. The crazy thing about this turret glitch though was the fact that I could quickly pick up one of the turrets that were placed, literally giving me infinite turrets. I was having fun with my turrets and killing zombies that I got a little cocky and almost died to one of them when a zombie chased me into the street, but that's what you get for choosing the game, I guess. So I logged out shortly after that, and then logged back in, after a few weeks, to see what other changes were made to the game. My turrets were still there, but I noticed there were actual boss zombies now in the city center, as well as a new damage number appearing. I watched as my turrets effortlessly took out the zombies in the area. I looted the boss zombie and I found a Guardian assault rifle, which was my first legendary primary I had found. This was huge and made me excited to see what else has been added to the game. I hopped into my car and drove off down the road and noticed some friendly scavengers on the side of the road, which was also new. I decided I wanted to do an infestation as well, so I took one of my turrets and set it down in the street where I got rushed by a sprinter zombie and almost died because of it. I survived the attack and helped my turret take out the zombies. I looted what I could and proceeded to kill the infestation. It was good to see the dev remove the need to melee the infestations, and now you can just shoot them again. The infestation was cleared and I gathered the loot from it and the zombies. That night I found a bandit camp and decided to take it on. I wanted to see what these bandits were hiding in their base. I made quick work of them and looted all of their loot. They had some pretty good loot on them, making it worth the raid. I stumbled upon a zombie infestation convoy and decided to loot it. This convoy had a lot of good loot like backpacks and guns to sell. I went to the trader and bought as many credits as I could from the black market trader and proceeded to buy the best shotgun in the game from him, the Exterminator. I headed to another infestation. This one was a massive one inside a suburb looking area. I decided to set up my turret at the top of the hill to take on the zombies, but as I was fighting them I got attacked by a few bears as well. I almost got myself killed by lighting myself on fire with a Molotov as I attacked the infestation. But I was able to shoot the infestation, triggered the zombies, and then led them uphill towards my turrets and repeated until the infestation was gone. This infestation unfortunately didn't have much and didn't really make it worth it. I added some remaining points into my skills, packed up my turrets, and headed home where I got jumped by bandits again. The morning of day 20, I decided to head to the lockdown safe zone to sell some gear as I normally do in the morning, then got geared up with my legendary weapons and ammo. Today, I plan on checking out a new POI called West Grove. When I got there, I set up my turrets and then got swarmed by a ton of zombies, and it could have went really bad. I slowly made my way into town and led the zombies to my turrets and used the cars as a safe spot, or so I thought. Almost dying again by a boss zombie that I had no idea was here now since the new update. This could have ended really badly, but a good thing is I'm a seasoned SurrounDead player by now. I noticed this gun store in town, which was a new POI, so I decided to check it out. It didn't have much inside, but I thought it was a cool and welcome addition to the game. Nighttime fell and I was still looting the town as it had more places to loot than I expected. That's when I found a cool bank POI with a bank vault inside, and that vault was a high tier loot crate where I found a Lychee suppressor. This was a crazy good find as the Lychee is one of the best snipers in the game and I already had one. My looting spilled over into day 21 where I was still looting everything inside West Grove. After filling my backpack up, I headed to a trader to sell what I found. As you can tell by now, I spent a ton of time at the traders. I headed home and got geared up for my next adventure. The next POI I wanted to take on was going to be the Airfield, which is one of the hardest POIs in the game, but also worth it because there are a ton of weapons there. I grabbed everything I would need and headed to the Airfield. Once there, I slowly used my Silence MP7 to take out any zombies I could see, then placed my turrets down to clear the rest out. While looting, I found a broken down Humvee. I knew right as I saw it this was going to be my next vehicle. I took out some more zombies and made my way deeper inside. I moved my turrets closer to the middle of the airfield near the bosses in hopes they would kill them. General Romez alongside his bodyguard. I took shots at them from a distance and almost killed the bodyguard when I noticed if I back away to a certain point, the bosses regained all of their health. This made it so you can't cheese them from a distance. I tried grenades and luring them towards the turrets, but nothing was working. Their health would just reset. This was a bad spot to be in as I didn't have a ton of long range options to kill these guys. I used my Lychee and all of the rounds I could from a distance and tried taking one of them out. While doing that, General Romez saw me and started to attack me. I was able to kill him, but then his bodyguard noticed me and came right after me. I wasn't prepared and decided to run for it. If the turrets weren't there, he definitely would have killed me, but I was able to run away in time. Only issue was, they both respawned back to their original spot and all that work and effort gone. I decided to move my turrets closer and aggro the boss zombies closer, and once again, this was a bad idea, and I almost paid the price for it. I used the wing of the plane to create space from the boss and used my LMG to melt the rest of his health. I barely survived once again. And the loot was not worth it. I spent the rest of that time of the night searching containers and filling up my backpack full of good loot. With the airfield pretty much clear, I was able to easily dispatch any of the remaining zombies and head into the radio tower to loot. The morning of day 22 hit while I was looting the radio tower. After clearing out the last container at the top of the tower, I decided to open up the locked bunker, and I almost died from a damn feral hound that snuck up on me while I was looting. Before hitting the locked bunker, I looted up the bunker next to it and found some pretty good attachments for my legendary weapons. Once that bunker was looted, it was time for the locked bunker. I noticed the zombies clipping through the main door, so I thought, why not cheese a few and kill them? So that's what I did. Then I opened it up and ran for the radio tower. I had one zombie follow me up there, but I easily got rid of it. All that was left was the boss zombie, which I quickly dispensed of. Once the bunker was clear, I looted the boss zombie and got to work looting the bunker. This bunker was filled with high tier loot crates, and they did not disappoint. I found a ton of legendaries and legendary attachments. While looting, my turret started to go off and killing zombies, which meant that zombies were respawning, so I had to be quick or else I would need to fight my way out. I packed my bags full of loot and tried picking up my turrets. I went to the broken down Humvee, repaired it, and got the hell out of there. On my way back home, I came across a coyote caravan and wanted to take them on, so I decided to get into a firefight with them. They were guarding some loot crates, but to be honest, it really wasn't worth it. So I headed to the classified container by me and dispatched all the zombies with the help of my turrets. I had a really hard time finding this container, as it showed on the map it was around this hill I was searching, but the container wasn't there, so I had to keep searching. I made it to a rooftop in the town and noticed there's a subway entrance, which had to be where the container was located. So I aggroed the zombies out of the subway and took them out. There were a ton of zombies that came out of there. I packed my turret up and slowly headed down the subway. It appeared I took out most of the zombies, so I made my way through the tunnels. There were still a ton of zombies down here, so I got rid of them and searched for the container. After clearing out some radiated zombies, I finally found the chest, but was given an enhanced gas mask, which was not worth it. I noticed the boss zombie down there and decided to get the hell out of there and go back home because I did not want to fight another boss. There was a rainstorm rolling through the map, but I wasn't going to let that stop me from heading out and adventuring. I headed to the logged down trader to fill up on some ammunition, and I got swarmed by zombies at the front gate of my base. I almost got taken out by them, but I sent them quickly back to the underworld and decided it was a good idea to craft the rest of my airlock gate. This would protect me from the exact scenario that happened in the future. I also placed some barbed wire around the newly built fence, as well as some concrete blocks that would act as a place for my turrets to sit and not take any damage during horde beacons. This construction process ran well into the night, and by morning, my base was looking a little more defendable. I tested out these new defenses by running a horde beacon and taking out all the zombies for some pretty sweet rewards. It looked like my defenses were working just as I planned, and I was able to get the dark machete from the zombie boss at the end of the horde beacon, which is one of the best melee weapons in the game. After that, a heavy fog rolled in, but so did an airdrop, so I headed out to see what was inside. The airdrops had nothing special, just some food and medicine though. I went to a wandering trader as well and saw they were selling the Valkyrie assault rifle, which is one of my favorite weapons, so I decided to buy it. I had plenty of money and credits to spare at this point, so I figured why not. As nighttime approached, I headed home and slept the rest of the night away. But on the morning of day 26, I made sure to start another horde beacon as my thirst for zombie blood had not been quenched. I once again showcased my defenses were impenetrable, and I was able to easily dispatch the zombie waves. The new Valkyrie weapon I had just bought proved to be the perfect boss slaying weapon as well. I looted the rotting pile of corpses and logged out for a while. After returning back, I quickly headed to a trader and sold the goods I had acquired from the horde beacons. On my travels, I came across another coyote soldier checkpoint where I came under heavy fire almost immediately. They had pinned me behind a broken down bus, and all of the gunfire drew the attention of some nearby zombies that almost ended my adventure. But thankfully, I was able to react fast enough. I took care of the coyote soldiers as fast as I could and went to loot what they were guarding, and it did not disappoint. There were a ton of backpacks and random gear in the crates, so I made sure to stuff my bags full of them. I quickly headed off east to another classified container as night started to approach. I found a small tropical island where the classified container was located and found myself another Guardian assault rifle. I went to another classified container just northwest of where the other one was. This was the same place I had left all of my glitched turrets at, so when I got there, the turrets were already killing all of the infected in the area, so I didn't have much work to do. I got the classified container, which had an enhanced gas mask in it, and headed out of the town as the morning of day 27 started. The morning of day 27, I took on a pack of wolves that were running wild on the side of the road, then headed to a cool location far north where the road ends. Looks like this will be a spot for something pretty large in later updates. I ended up driving back to the contaminated zone called the Bladewater Military Camp, where I scouted the camp out with my binoculars, then used my turrets to lure out the zombies and the zombie boss, and took them all down with my Valkyrie. I proceeded to head inside where I placed my turrets and took on the rest of the zombies. I looted up the nearby buildings and scavenged whatever loot I could find. But to be honest, there wasn't a whole lot of loot here and it was kind of disappointing. I did have a jump scare though when a zombie ran into the room while I was looting. Not feeling very satisfied with the loot in Bladewater, I headed off to do the lab bunker. I set up an ambush just above the soldiers guarding the front entrance and quickly got rid of them. I made my way down the entrance and cautiously opened up the entrance to the lab, one of the hardest POIs in the map. I had to be strategic about how I handled this or else the zombie-filled narrow halls of the lab would certainly be my downfall. I lured the zombies towards the door and killed them off with Molotovs. Then, I placed turrets down and opened up the entrance to the main hallway as my turrets took the zombies out. I was finally inside. I looted the two nearby rooms and made my way further into the lab. The stairs are the most annoying section of the lab, so I made sure to be extra cautious here. I slowly made my way in and placed turrets down to kill the zombies in the hallway. Using grenades, I tried to kill as many as I could. I used my shotgun to aggro the zombies and let my turret do the rest of the work as I watched from the safety of the door. I'm telling you guys, these turrets are absolutely broken, and if it weren't for them, I'm not too sure how long I could have lasted in this adventure. After that was finished, I looted the bodies and proceeded down the hallway, checking the loot rooms and looting them. The loot was pretty juicy and I found a few legendary weapons as well as a grenade launcher. I was almost at the generator room. The rest of the hallway was surprisingly quiet as I probably drew the attention of every zombie with the earlier grenades. I got to the generator room and turned on the lights as well as looted in there. Since the power was on, a few more rooms were opened, so I quickly looted them and got the hell out of there. I did not want to chance the zombies spawning back while I was inside. After the lab was completed, I headed to the traders to sell off some goods and then proceeded to the roadside entrance of the Observatory. I took out the bandits in front and headed up the hillside, clearing out the zombies along the way. Once up at the Observatory, I parked my car at the top of the hill and started clearing out the soldiers guarding it. This was the Coyote's main base, so I had to be careful as there were a ton of highly geared soldiers guarding the place. I made my way inside of the Observatory and used the turrets to take care of the rest of the soldiers looking to fight. I made it to the main loot area near the telescope with little to no resistance. I filled my bags with loot and headed to the roof to loot up some more. With my bags full of loot, and with the nighttime upon us, I headed away from the Observatory and straight to base to drop off gear. That night, I decided there was one last POI I needed to complete before I could call this adventure completed, and that was oil rig. So, I headed to the beach side of the oil rig and swam my way through the dark waters. I cautiously scaled the ladder and used my turrets to kill the zombies as I waited on the ladder safely. The oil rig is a location filled with zombies, so I could use all the help I could get. I helped clear out the zombies and zombie bosses by using the broken stairway so the zombies couldn't reach me. I proceeded further through the oil rig, looting and killing zombies along the way, leading into day 29. With my bags full once again, I had eventually made it back to the locked main door, but I didn't have the code to get in, so I decided I was good on loot and headed back to land. But once on land, I made a critical mistake. See, I got a little too cocky and thought I would just start killing zombies as I had nothing else better to do, but that's when I quickly got overran. Once overran, this marked the end of my adventure in Permadeath SurrounDead. I had made it 29 days, killed 884 zombies, 101 humans, and traveled 305 kilometers. I hope you all enjoyed this wild adventure as much as I did, and if you would like to see me do something like this again in SurrounDead or another survival game, make sure to comment down below and like the video. And don't forget to subscribe for more content just like this in the future, and join the Discord to talk with me about all things gaming. And as always, I love you all, and I'll see you in the next adventure. Peace.